Runestone Park is one of many beautiful stops along Minnesota's scenic Glacial Ridge Trail. But its significance goes beyond that, as Douglas County Park Superintendent Al Lieffort explains.
Kensington Runestone Park was established as a county park in 1970. The story that happened out here related to the Kensington Runestone has a long history, over 100 years, and has always been really enchanting to people. And so local residents took a number of tries at creating a park out here before the Land and Water Conservation Fund came to its rescue in the 1970s and provided the money to buy this property from the Ullman family. The park is 305 acres now. It's a very large forested glacial ridge, really, and surrounded by about 5 little lakes. It has always been a place where people would conduct family reunions, business outings, picnics, of that sort of thing, but always focused around the story of the Kensington Runestone and the myths of the Vikings. I mean, that's what really drew people's interest. It's what excites people about the place until they get out here and recognize that this is one of the most beautiful landscapes in Douglas County out here, and that really is what makes it. So the 100 acres that we're on right now, this is the farmstead that Olaf Ullman lived on. And Olaf Ullman is the person who first brought the Kensington Runestone into the public arena. Directly behind me, about 300 feet, is the discovery site where the Kensington Runestone was found. It's a small slab of rock, flat, 200 pounds, 30 inches tall, got a bunch of characters inscribed on it, and Olaf Ullman brought it into Kensington in 1898. So since that time, people have tried to understand what this thing is. They sent it down to the University of Minnesota. A professor of German languages down there recognized the characters as being Scandinavian, what they call runes. And they spent a lot of time trying to understand what it said, and even more time trying to understand how it could possibly have landed out here in the middle of North America, because it has a date on it of 1364. And also because one of the early researchers linked the Kensington Runestone to the Vikings. And Vikings have kind of a magical thing about them. Everybody loves Vikings.
Unless you're a Packers fan?
And really, that is what drew people to this story. The idea that Vikings were in Minnesota in the 14th century. It's such a controversial idea that it's been a magnet for interest ever since it was discovered in 1898. That's why everyone has always thought it should be a park, to save that, to preserve this place. The fact that it also is a very well-preserved Minnesota landscape, that's like the icing on the cake. There's a very severe glacial moraine that runs along the southern boundary of the park. It separates Kensington Runestone Park from some U.S. Fish and Wildlife property. It's about 100 feet tall. It provides this really scenic backdrop to the low valley where the people farmed. The other side of the property rises up 100 feet above the fields where the Ullmans lived. Most of it is wooded with oaks, basswoods, oak savanna forest, little pockets of water here and there. It's just absolutely a lovely place. As a modern farm, it would never function. As a pioneer farm, I think it did really well in it. I mean, we've seen pictures of potato fields out in some of the low grounds, ducks and geese and cattle that they grazed on the property, and then woodlots all over the place. Part of the park is about 30 little woodlots that we bought one at a time. But all of that now turns into just this gorgeous forest land. Aside from the glacial moraine, on the far western side of the park is one of the largest and most southerly stands of native sugar maple in North America. And it's just an unbelievable spot. They're 150-foot tall maple trees. There's there's about 18 or 20 acres of them out there. And you walk underneath this understory that's just way over your head. It's really a gorgeous place. What we did was took some of the remaining farm buildings and remodeled them. There's a dairy barn down there that we gutted the inside and put bathrooms and a little public meeting room in there. So people use that all year long for small groups, 30 to 40 people. It's heated, it has restrooms in it and a little kitchen. There's a wood stove in there, and then there's electric heaters that keep it moderate most of the year. So that's available for people to use for events. And then there are 2 open-sided picnic shelters. One of them has electricity in it. There's a restroom and water by each of them. And then we scatter tables in various places around the park, just nice places for people to sit and visit. But there's these 3 use areas that we've developed. And groups of 100, 200, 350 people. I mean, it's a very big park. You can do anything like that out here. There are some other historic buildings other than the barn. The house that the Oman family lived in is on the property, and we have gone through extensive restorations. The outside of the house is completely done now and in as close to the original look as it could be done. We have many photographs from the family over the years, and we're beginning to work on the inside now. We expect that to be the main focus of the storytelling that we do out here related to the Oman family and its involvement with the Kensington Runestone. We'll use the rest of the park, the outdoor landscapes, to tell the story of the discovery, but the family story, we're going to use their home for that, and the farmyard is what we have worked the most hard on trying to preserve. So it's very beautiful. There's interpretive signing that begins here at the discovery site and leads you through that process. And then in the yard, near where the Oman family house is where we begin to tell the story of the sequence of people that visited that family from 1898 until 1925 when the Runestone left and went to Alexandria. Some of the most famous people in Minnesota's history visited this family out here, and in an effort to try and understand, could this possibly be true, that Vikings were in Minnesota in the 14th century? And we have a very interesting story to tell up there. What we did with it early on was developed it as an outdoor recreation area. So there's about 9 miles of cross-country ski trails that loop through this whole place. It's just a fabulous place to come skiing. We have a really good toboggan hill. It's over 100 feet long and it drops 90 feet down into a slough, so it's just a great toboggan hill. So those winter activities are very popular out here. The cross-country snowmobile trail comes into the park, and that's linked to about 400 miles of trail around Douglas County. So there's a lot of winter recreation that happens out here. The summer season, as I said earlier, is mostly picnics, family reunions. There's a softball field and outings of that sort of thing. And then just people who are interested in looking at the place where the runestone was found and trying to understand this story. Go down the freeway till you get to Alex, go west on Highway 27, and you'll see the sign for Kensington Runestone Park. It's 1 mile south of Highway 27.